Good morning, Sis Sylvia and brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Let us pay homage to the Triple Gem before we start the talk.
Arahan Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Avivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhamman Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sangham Namami.
Preliminary homage to the Buddha.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Let us chant the verses for taking 3 refuges.
Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Sangham saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sangham saranang gacchami.
Let us take the 5 precepts.
Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Adinadana Veramani Sikkhapadam
Samadhiyami. Kamesu Miccācara Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. Musawada Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami. Surameraya Majjapamadatthana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Recollection of the Buddha. Let us recollect the sublime qualities of the Buddha.
Itipiso Bhagava Arahan Samma Sambuddho Vijacharana Sampano Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhammasarati Satta Deva Manusanam Buddho Bhagavati.
Recollection of the Dhamma. Let us recollect the sublime qualities of the Dhamma. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sandihiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanyayiko Paccattam Venitabu Vinyuhiti. Recollection of the Sangha.
Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Ujjopatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Nyaya Patipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Samici Patipano Bhagavato Samvaka Sangho Yadidam Chattari Purisa Yugani Atta Purisa Pugala Esa Bhagavato Samvaka Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakineyo Anjalikalaniyo Anuttaram Punya Ketam Lokasati. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, this morning we have with us Sister Sylvia Bay, who will be speaking about the Piṅgiyānī Brahmin Sutta. So, Sis Sylvia, over to you.
We're going to do meditation first, but it's going to be a short one, just to help listeners and audience settle down, get a bit comfortable, calm down the mind, bring out the joy, feel inspired by the Dhamma. So we want to start the talk on just the right note, okay? So can I suggest that you sit back comfortably, everyone? Sit comfortably. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. When you start off a meditation, minimally start off by taking a really deep breath. It helps to calm the mind down. Deep breath once. Breathe in. Breathe out. Take another deep breath. In, out. Make sure that your body is comfortable where you're seated. Doesn't have to be ramrod straight, but should be comfortable. Then, now, scan the body. Look out for the contact points where your form, your buttocks touches the chair, palm upon each other, back against the back of a chair. Slowly scan the contact points. Take your time. As you scan, you note feel the hardness, note the hardness. Scan your face, top to toe, the face. Slowly scan. Scanning means observing, sweeping across the face. Observe and sweep across from the neck down, just slowly. Slowly, it's fine. Neck down, shoulder, torso. Scan slowly. So as you scan, you may notice that there is a breathing in the background. It's a rhythmic breathing, rising, falling, in, out. It's a simple, mechanical breathing going on in the background. Be aware of this breathing. Breathing is a natural process. The body breathes by itself. You don't have to control it. Just let the body breathe by itself. Gentle breathing. Observe the rising and falling, the expansion and contraction of the diaphragm. You may feel comfort, ease. It's comfortable. Very quiet. It's a sensation of peace. Quiet joy. If you feel that, if you feel the sensation, watch the sensation, feel deeply. If you feel the joy, just feel deeply. Breathe in, feeling the joy. Breathe out, feeling the joy. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, just present, feeling the joy. You feel it, wish your loved ones, people you love, wish them well. Say in your mind, as I feel this joy, I feel this gratitude towards the Buddha. I'm very blessed to experience this. May my loved ones also experience this. Slowly wish your loved ones that they too may experience the joy that you're feeling, the sense of gratitude, sense of deep, deep blessing. May they all experience this one day. May they all have the wisdom to come to the Dhamma one day, so that they too will experience this joy. One final wish is for all sentient beings, wherever they are, seen, unseen, born, yet to be born, from all the realms, from the highest to the lowest. Wish them all well. May they all be well and happy. May they all one day taste the Dhamma and experience the cessation of dukkha. With every drop of your compassion, your friendliness, metta and karuna, with every drops that you can summon, wish all beings well. Then say, by the truth of my practice, may the merits of what I'm doing here and now be the cause and condition of my awakening. If you're ready, give thanks to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and come out of the meditation. Everybody okay? Feeling good? Start the Dhamma talk feeling good. Okay. For 1 minute, I wondered whether my mic was on. Today, we're going to do a sutta called Piṅgiyānī Sutta. Okay? And actually, I'm just using Piṅgiyānī as the platform to share certain key points that I think would be very helpful for all of us to bear in mind. Sutta in itself is actually quite short, just 5 key points. The reason why I chose the sutta is partly because for the longest time we have been doing a series of suttas on practice. Meditation, deep reflection, and contemplation. After a while, it gets a bit hard for people. So I wanted a sutta that it serves as a reminder to all of us on why we are on this journey. Why is it so important that we come to the Dhamma, spend time learning the Dhamma, accumulating the knowledge, storing it properly so that we can reflect on them when the conditions are right. We want to do that. So this sutta serves really as a reminder to all of us on the importance of practice. Okay? And I said I will do a bit of a summary on the sutta. The summary itself actually is quite straightforward. A Brahmin, a lay person who was of a high status in society. His name is Piṅgiyānī, and he was not just a Brahmin, but eventually became a devout lay supporter of the Buddha. And this sutta was Piṅgiyānī doing a really good deed, and the Buddha praising him and then saying what is important for a lay person. That there are certain, that in the world, you see, the world of the lay person is fixated about gems, meaning what is good, what is rare, what is treasured. The world of the lay people like that. Buddha made the point that we are fixing our attention on the wrong thing. There are gems, and there are gems, good gems. So in this sutta, he highlighted 5 rare gems that we, the lay people, and anyone else, actually, anyone, should be mindful of. This talk is also a bit unusual because at the end of which, I would invite everyone in the audience to share with us your own reflection. So everyone, technical crew and all here, think about it. At the end of this sutta, what are your takeaway? Okay? And if you would like to share with us your views, please key in and send it to us. For me, I highlighted some things here, which in the course of the talk, I hope you will catch it. One, reminder of what is essential from non-essential. Two, that we must constantly be inspired by the Dhamma and be grateful to the teaching. Why? Because if you are inspired by the Dhamma and you incorporate that into your life, you can be sure you will grow. You will develop certain qualities that are mental states that are essential to help you lead a happier life. Key essentials of the mind, key qualities of the mind that you will cultivate and you develop as you learn the Dhamma. You will grow in those qualities. And those qualities will be the condition for you to be happier people, more wholesome, kinder, nicer. I know these seems to be such bland words, kinder, nicer. I mean, surely I can come up with better words. No, we're talking about the essence of those words. And finally, a reminder that we must try and make sure that we anchor our mind in the Dhamma as much as we can for as long as life lasts. I should actually change it to for as long as lives last. Okay. Sutta backdrop. This is a simple one. This is the easiest slides. Today only 10 slides. So it's very fast. The Buddha at that time was staying in a place called Vaisali. This is a description. The words in brown red are a description captured in the sutta. The black words are all mine, okay? So I didn't want to go into the sutta word for word. I just want to sum it up for you. Buddha staying at Vaisali in this place, which is a monastery called the hall with the peak roof. I don't know why, but it's called the hall with the peak roof. Must be a very tall structure, very nice. 500 Licchavīans visited Buddha, decked out beautifully, colorfully, blue, yellow, red, white. Now, I capture these words because the Licchavīans were known to have good fashion taste. Okay? You notice that Buddha usually, the suttas usually don't cover colors of clothing, except for the Licchavīans. If you ever see another sutta on the Licchavīans, you may also find this again. Licchavīans were very colorfully decked, usually. So much so that sometimes even the Buddha will comment on it. Okay? So here they were, and the line was captured. But Buddha was the best. In terms of beauty and glory, he looked the best. Brahmin Piṅgiyānī got up from his seat, asked for permission to speak, and started talking about the Buddha in a very fitting way. Now, the sutta had a verse, which I just dropped it. It's not critical. It's just a 4-line verse about how great the Buddha was, how beautiful, how glorious. Now, a couple of things here. This is just little tidbits from the sutta. Vaisali, not commonly talked about, but for this purpose, I thought I would just share a little bit of tidbits here and there. Buddha actually spent some time there. Okay, the Wajan Republic. In ancient India, there were 2 types of political systems. I think for most part, we have been talking about Magadha and Kosala. Those are kingdoms. Hereditary king. The kings of those 2 kingdoms were Buddha's BFF, best friends. But there were many more republics, but not the way that you know republics today. Republics basically mean ruled by themselves, the people themselves, not by a hereditary king. Buddha's Sakyan tribal space, the entity, was a republic because they rule themselves. So the Wajans were like the Buddha. Buddha will appreciate these elite, okay? And Vaishali was a place where several important events in the Buddhist calendar took place, okay? One of which was the setting up of the nun order. Buddha went back, attended the funeral of his father, came back. His stepmother followed with a whole bunch of nuns and pestered him to set up a nun order. He came back to Wajan, Vaishali. Hundreds of miles separate the two. Hundreds of miles. So he walked back, they followed him on foot, okay? There was also a place where the Buddha pronounced his parinibbana. If you look at Mahaparinibbana Sutta, where it was described about the Buddha's visit to Vaishali, there you may find this short stanza about Buddha recollecting some of the places he had visited in Vaishali. It's the only place where he actually listed some of the places he visited. And from that segment, my little takeaway, I might suspect, he actually had deep affection for Vaishali. He liked the place. He spent happy days there. This was the place which was the start of his search. Not Magadha, not Rajagaha, it was actually Vaishali. Because you see, spent some time learning from two yogi teachers. That's Alara Kalama and Udaka Ramabutta. Those are his two early teachers. Okay? Now, Licchavīans these are the elite that ruled Vaishali, the Wajan Republic. And the Licchavīans were warriors, fierce warriors, a bit ruckus. They come together, they sit together, they make a lot of noise. They're very close-knit. Okay? The Vaishalis are known to be very close-knit. And I call them fierce warrior because one of the first places that Ajatasattu, the son of Bimbisara, remember I said Buddha had two BFF, one of whom was Bimbisara. When his son took over from Bimbisara, the son wanted to attack a rich neighbor, seize their wealth, but also because he felt that they were a threat. So these were the Licchavīans, okay? So some short, the point here is just to point out that he was teaching, this sutta was delivered to lay people. So this is a lay person sutta, useful for us all to remember the teaching. And I mentioned that it's a short sutta which talk about 5 gems, and these are the 5 gems. This was taken from the sutta itself. Licchavīans, the Buddha said, the manifestation of 5 gems is rare in the world. What 5? The manifestation of a Tathagata, an Arahant, a perfectly enlightened one. It's rare in the world. A person who can teach the Dhamma and Vinaya. So discipline means Vinaya. Proclaimed by a Tathagata is rare in the world. Dhamma Vinaya, always said Dhamma Vinaya, and people may think that, oh, this is a monk. Dhamma Vinaya, the word Vinaya implies the monk discipline, but actually it also means knowledge and conduct. The way that you talk. The discipline is us imposing, for the lay people, us imposing some kind of discipline. in the way that we conduct ourselves and in the way that we talk in the world. Number 3, with the Dhamma and the discipline proclaimed by the Tathagata has been taught, a person who can understand it is rare in the world. When the Dhamma and the discipline proclaimed by the Tathagata has been taught, a person who can understand it and practice in accordance with the Dhamma is rare in the world. And finally, a grateful and thankful person is rare in the world. So some of you may just sit back and go, okay, so what? What is so important about these 5 points? We can all intuitively appreciate this. But, so, what is so special about this? Okay, I will go and explain each one of them in detail. The word 5 gems, just to bear this in mind, we all are keen on gems. In ancient time, Buddha's time, they have no Larry's jewelry. There is no, I don't know, the silver or something. Gems are indeed very rare. Only the best, the richest, the highest in society would own gems. So first you must remember your context. In your world, gems are no big deal. In their world, gems are very rare. They are absolutely unique. Okay? And for these ruling class people, when they think of the word gem, they think of how the possession will help them gain greater power, be more elevated materially than they already were. They were thinking in gems were means of elevating themselves further. But their kind of elevation is about power, money. So you will listen to, when you talk about gem, they were talking about sons, horses, good ministers, wealth, and so on. The means to strengthen them politically, okay? Buddha, of course, was not referring to any of those kind of gems. So the first one, he says, manifestation of a Tathagata is rare. In our tradition, particularly the Theravadian tradition, there were only 7 Buddhas listed by name in the Buddhist texts. Meaning to say, stretching all the way back to the beginning of time, in what the Buddha could see, he could identify 7 names. Okay? It would take eons for one Buddha to arise. Eons means not in our lifetime, for many lifetimes. For scores and scores and scores of lifetime. So you just imagine, if this Dhamma starts to fade away, that's it. You've got to wait for a long time for the next Buddha to come about. And why is that so? Why does it take it so long? Because there is the condition of the individual, and there are the conditions of the environment. Conditions of the individual means for one to become a Buddha, his perfections, his mental perfections, the mental states, are immaculate. From dana to sila. Dana is generosity, to sila, the qualities of morality, wholesomeness, purity. By the time he was ready to appear as the Buddha, his purity would have already been perfected. His morality would have been perfected. The mind would have been perfected. Wisdom were perfected to the degree that a layperson can. And there are many more qualities. What you can think of, say for instance the Brahma Vihara, if you think of the Brahma Vihara, those qualities he would have perfected as a bodhisattva before he reappeared as a Buddha. Okay? So that was just on his own personal mental cultivation to perfection. You know, humans are such that we don't always hate in a one direction type of training. Sometimes we will make mistakes and we have to restart and so on and so forth. When he's in training, especially at the earlier part of his training, that can also happen. You know, there will be all this tango, improvement, then maybe a little bit not so good, and continue to polish and train. So there are all these perfecting going on for many lives. The kind of sacrifice that an individual has to make to go through the samsara and dukkha in order that one day he can help others. Just thinking of that kind of sacrifice, you just, gratitude, your gratitude will surge, okay? The physical environmental condition, he wouldn't appear and waste all his effort in a society that's in complete, absolute chaos if that world is constantly in warfare. If people's lives are too short, or too long for that matter, if the environment are very unconducive for Dhamma to take root, there's no point this Buddha wasting his time in that environment. So you've got to wait for the external environment to be just nice. And what does it mean by just nice? Cannot be too chaotic and shouldn't be too peaceful. Because if it's too peaceful, people get complacent. If it is too violent, too chaotic, people are caught up with bare essentials of life. Who has time to reflect on dukkha arya satcha, samudaya dukkha arya satcha? Who got time to do these things? They're too busy looking for food to survive. You see what I'm saying? So the physical, the environment has to be just right. Then, when he appeared, when he arose, come into this final birth as the Buddha, there are still things to do, tremendous challenges to overcome. He would not have the benefit of Dhamma to help him. No roadmap, no Dhamma roadmap. He had to navigate and find that ancient path by himself. The ancient cultivation path of reshaping and rewiring mind. He had to do it by himself. No fallback position, okay? And then, after he had realized, he rediscovered it, he had realized, he now had to go and teach others. Devise training program for trainees of vastly different mental capabilities. Sitting down here, how many of you, you're all different? The teaching had to appeal to you, had to guide you and your unique qualities, your unique mental balance. The teaching, the Dhamma, that training formula has to work for you. And you think that's not difficult, right? He's not even around to do it anymore. See, if he were here, if the Buddha were here, he can guide you, knowing what you are, knowing the kind of mental qualities you have, he can tweak according to what works for you. But he's not around anymore. And he won't be. He knows, he knew when he was devising it, it had to work across time and space. That, just thinking of that gives you cold sweat. That is really tough. How do you maintain the integrity of a training system across time, long past your time? If you look at today's companies, or you look at the countries around the world, we're talking about how many hundred of years? We're talking about the records, rims and rims of records on how decisions were made, why decisions were made like this. This is the success story formula, and still people get it wrong. On something so mundane as political system and economic structures, we can get it wrong. Here, you're training the mind to see what is sublime out of the realm of your sense basis, to penetrate the mental delusions and see with clarity the mind. He has to have a teaching method that can guide individuals who must do it on their own at some point to get there. So it is a GPS that doesn't talk to you. It speaks in a language that you need to decipher. And once you decipher, it's all clear. But before you decipher, it's a little bit Greek, isn't it? I mean, when you take out the sutta, you start reading for yourself. I know what it's saying, but I don't know what it means. For many of us, when we start off, it's like that. It's like that. So here you have, can you now see how incredibly difficult this task is? And what would it take for one to come along with that kind of genius to do it? And we are living in his dispensation, meaning we're living in an age where the sutta, the teachings, the discourses, the training, they're all there. So don't waste it. A person who can teach the Dhamma and discipline proclaimed by the Tathagata is rare. Now, you think about it. The best teachers of Dhamma Vinaya, the teaching and the training, the discipline, would be an Arya Sangha, right? Meaning to say, one who has himself seen the Dhamma, who has himself tasted the Dhamma, so that they will know Dhamma from Adhamma, meaning what's the real teaching and what is not, so that they will know path from non-path. What's the real training? The training that will get you to tasting the Dhamma, and the training that will get you deeper and deeper into a labyrinth forest of the mind. You can come out clear, or you can go through the training and end up fuzzier, blurrer, more confused, more agitated, more distressed. Then we really have problems. So only the Arya Sangha will be able to help us understand correctly, train rightly. And my last one, the right knowledge of the Dhamma from the delusional construction. For those of us who have been doing our meditation, going for classes, learning the Dhamma, we are very aware of how the mind can create, and we get really seized by what we have mind made. How dangerous it is for us when we don't know any better. So what are the odds that such a teacher can come in our lifetime? What are the odds? Basically, when you read through the points, you realize phenomenal. Phenomenal odds. Because for one to be able to realize, go into the stream, become a once returner, realize the state of never returner, and finally realizing the knowledge of an arahant, what it means is he has to understand what are the fetters, what are the habits that bind us to rebirth and rebecoming. There are habits, very powerful habits, which the Buddha called fetters, shackles. The Buddha called it fetters. They are actually habits, human habits, very powerful ones, that we are caught in the trap of these. These fetters lead you, or they are compulsive habits, and they cost you to behave in ways that you're not proud of. But you find yourself doing it because you are compelled. You feel compelled to do it. So one of the most compelling ones, right? Kamachanda, lust, sensual pleasure, sensual desires. You try looking at your favorite food and just staring and say, I won't taste, I won't touch. And if you are full, you're saturated, you're full, satiated. You are full, you're not interested. Because your mind tells you, you're full. Silly you, don't do it. But if you are starving, if you're really hungry, and your stomach is constantly reminding you that it was a long time since you last ate, you try resisting your favorite food. At some point, when the hunger is getting a little bit overwhelming, even food you don't like looks good, right? So, and this is just one of the factors. We have 10. This is satu. One only. We're talking about 10. When you are upset, when you are angry, you try telling your mind, stop it. Let go. Don't hold. What's wrong with you? You can try doing that. And then you have that whining voice in the background going, but, like that, but. So the wholesome, reasonable, sensible, wiser part of you say, it's okay, let be, bad for your training. Then the habits, the compulsion that comes out and say, if you don't tell him off, you'll never learn. Say words like that, we ask for trouble. Okay? So one is to successfully understand and overcome the fetters. And the second is he must know how to teach. You can also have individuals who are actually very, very sharp, excellent practitioners. Because I know I've seen many really good people, but they don't know how to explain. They can't. And you must remember, incredible difficulty of explaining a Dhamma that is so sublime, there is no parallel in the mundane world. You can't go to the mundane world like a supermarket and go, well, it's like that. In the mundane world, you look for your examples. How? So this, whatever individual has to have the teaching tools to do it, which is why the Buddha was incredible. His understanding of the human mind is so powerful that he knows how to just tweak. All he has to do is tweak, and the person will understand. But the rest of us don't have this capability. We can't do it. Okay? Dhamma, now I ask a question. How to teach using tools that are of the constructor world? Constructor world means our world. We talk. It's a conditioned world. We talk, we construct, we think, and everything that pops out of our head and our mouth, they have been mind-made. They've been made. But Dhamma is unconditioned. It's the unmake. So a world that is made has words that describe that world. We're going to use those words to describe the unconditioned. Challenging. Because you use the wrong word, and people, because our world is constructed, you give them a word, they will go back into their Wikipedia in here, their constructed world, and imagine what it must be like. That is why it's challenging, it's difficult. As I said, you use a word, all words carry meaning, baggage of meanings. And you use one of those words, you really don't know how that person, that individual, perceive that word. So you have a perception, the person has a perception, because these are constructed words. And you explain, and the person think, and he will be generating his own world, his own understanding, his own impression, relying on examples and analogies that he finds in his world. And you have yours. Very hard, okay? Very, very hard. Not impossible. Hard, difficult. It's not impossible. If it were impossible, we would have no Dhamma. It is not impossible. It can be done. But it has to be done with tremendous skill and tremendous sensitivity. Sensitivity to how a word is perceived, how an idea is captured. So for those of you seeking to one day share Dhamma, it is important to bear this in mind. Be careful about the kind of words that you use. Be sensitive to the audience that you're talking to. Be able to read with some empathy what's going on in the individual's mind. What's going on? Because body language, the way that they sit, the way that they react, it will give you a sense of whether or not they're understanding or they're just being polite. People are very polite. Okay? Third point, when the Dhamma and discipline proclaimed by the Tathagata has been taught, a person who can understand it is rare in the world. Two main points here. Rare because the right conditions for learning are hard to come by. You look at it. First, there is the political, economic, social environment that can obstruct practice. Right? If you are born in a world that is having internal conflict, I said earlier, if your world is having internal conflict, even if the Dhamma is there, do you have time to practice? Dare you stay put and not run? But what if you're born in a world which doesn't approve of the Dhamma? Your family doesn't approve of it. Your parents have their views about Dhamma and they are resistant. You can, right? I mean, you know for your world around you, you know that there are some environment which are really very unconducive, very hard to practice. I say economic. People have told me, I need to earn a living. I have to feed my children. Where got time to learn Dhamma? Where got time to go for retreat? There you are. These are real and practical challenges. Real and practical. I'm not saying they are these individuals are correct because you face these environments, therefore you can't practice. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I can understand why they say it's very hard. But even under very hard circumstances, conditions, for those who want to, they can still do it. It's harder for them to do it. They can't just hop into the bus at whenever they feel like doing it. They just hop into a bus, hop into a car, and they come. They just have to take it. They will have greater challenges doing it. I'll give you an example. Just an example. Suppose, let's say, you live in a village, an obscure village somewhere, and in your village, there is you have no access to internet, you have got no books, you have got no teachers. There is a really good monk that practices in a forest nearby, but you have to walk 1 hour to get to him or 2 hours to get to him. How often do you think you can do this? And these are very real obstacles confronting people around the world. Okay? Then there are the unique circumstances of your own birth. Birth defects, mental handicaps, lower realm birth in the period, birth in a realm without perception. These are very high meditation state where there is no mind. In a region where nobody understands Dhamma, or during a period when there is no Dhamma. This, is very real. All these are very real. Therefore, you want to do a little self-reflection here. Born in a time where there is Dhamma, where there are teachers abound. Today, you go into Zoom, you're zooming here and you're zooming there and you're zooming everywhere. So many teachers teaching online. I hate to say this, but COVID has been kind for Dhamma propagation. Right? Rare because Dhamma runs against man's instinct. So for many individuals, they are drawn to the Dhamma only as a last resort. These Buddha's words, taken from another translation, not from a Bhikkhu Bodhi, right? Ananda, passion, ill will, ignorance are the three things that prevent people from taking in the Dhamma. Passion burns one. There is no fire like passion. Passion means the desires, the strong desires. Passion burns always and without any break. Dhammapada Verse number 251. Now, for those of you who say, I'm quite a simple person, I have no passion. Oh, yes, you do. There will be days when you don't feel like meditating. There will be days when you don't feel like reading the Dhamma. You don't feel like doing anything. What do you think they are? Feeling is passion. When you feel you want to do something other than Dhamma, you are being caught up, seized by raga. Okay? And all of us here have had our moments when we don't feel like it. We practice so hard, go on retreat. People going on retreat don't feel like meditating. I don't even know why they go on retreats. Because they're so tired. They've been doing it and doing it. And then they're very tired. Then we give up. When you do that, you are caught in Mara's bait. Mara is this desire to sit on your delight and pleasure. You just want to do that. When you do that, you are caught in Mara's baits. Okay? Here you see the word Buddha and the 5 lay disciples. I wanted to tell you this cute story. I've never mentioned this story before. But when I was doing my research for this talk, I came across this verse and I came across this story. I thought it's so cute. You all must hear it. There were these 5 lay people, 5 of like us, 5 of us. When these 5 were listening to the Buddha giving a discourse, Ananda, who was standing nearby, noticed that these 5, one was asleep. He literally, then he slept. Another one kept doing this. He kept put his hand on the floor. He kept doing this, doodling He was doodling. He's like, I'm so bored. So he was doing this. Oh dear, one was sleep, one was doodle. I forgot the other 3. No, I remember the 5th one. The 5th one was the only one paying attention. See, originally I wanted to put the animals down so I remember. Okay. The 3rd one was shaking a tree. Sorry, it's not shaking a tree. He was just being very restless. He was like, he was being very restless. So you see, one was asleep. Second one was doodling. The 3rd one was very restless. He was doing this. 4th one kept staring at the sky. He kept staring like that. And then the 5th one was the only one paying attention. Okay? So I must remember the animal I remember. So, to recap, one was asleep. The second one was doodling. The 3rd one was being very restless. Okay, he was shaking. He was restless. The 4th one was looking at the sky. And the 5th one was the only one paying attention. He's listening attentively, taking notes, listening attentively. So Ananda was not happy, right? His teacher was teaching, and these 5, only one was paying attention, which is a really bad track record. If you think about it, it's 1/5, 20%. 20% of a class paying attention when the Buddha was talking. The other 80% were doing what they were doing. So after the thing was over, and they left, Ananda asked the Buddha, what's going on? Why like that? Bad disciples. Buddha said they were caught up in their old habits. These were habits of a different time. So the one who fell asleep ever so easily was a snake in a different life. The snake, he will coil up, and then he will slumber. The second one, who was doodling away, was a worm in a different life. So like a worm, the guy will be like scratching the ground. So he's used to the texture of scratching the ground. The 3rd one was a monkey in a different life. And he was, like all monkeys, all good monkeys should be energetic, right? If a monkey behaved like a snake, it's not a good monkey. So this was a good monkey, and he was shaking the trees, he was trying to get fruits down, and so he was very energetic. Guess what's the 4th one? Guess what's the 4th one? The one that was staring at the sky. A bird. He was an eagle. The eagle scans. So this poor fella, he's now trapped on earth, right? He's still scanning up there, missing his old home. And the 5th one, in a different life, was a Brahmana. He studies. It's his habit to study. So, the point here is people can be caught up in their old habits. The takeaway, can be caught up in their old habits. So you find yourself feeling compulsion to do some things. And you know these compulsions are not helpful for Dhamma. Perhaps that compulsion reflects an old habit. So you have to break your old habits. Break the compulsion. If every time you sit, you sleep, not that you were a snake in a different time, but my advice is don't behave like the snake of this life. Know that this is a problem, you go vertical. No snakes is vertical. So you go vertical. Sit in the sun. Snakes don't like sitting in the sun. They will dry up. If you find that your mind is always jumping around, dancing around, hopping around, it's very hard for you to sit still, then you go by the minutes. Train yourself by minutes. Slowly, slowly you extend the time that you can stay put. Learn to appreciate the nice, the pleasure. Pay attention to a sense of peace and pleasure when you are able to stay put. It can happen. You do the necessary, it will happen. You're just reshaping the conditions and it will happen. Okay? A, the story, and B. B is very obvious if you stare at your own mind. Many of us carry assumptions that we will live that we will not die anytime soon. And if you will not die anytime soon, you have time to practice, time to learn. Right? Time. Time, believing that you have time means there is a certain degree of delusion. How really, do you know exactly when you die? Nobody does. So you're so sure you have time. Because I'm young, you've never seen young people die, is it? There are so many ways in which we can be prematurely stricken. So, why did I say ignorant? This ignorance is not the big avidya ignorance. This is just simple, mundane, secular ignorance. We say our priorities in life is happiness. Some of us are not even that wise. Some of us will say priority in life is to make money. You make money for what? So that I can provide a good living for my family. For what? So that they can be happy. So the wiser amongst you will not be fixated about the tactical points, but go straight to the key point, which is happiness. So happiness is about providing for my family wisely, well, and they can live well. Really? Have you seen rich people who are sad and depressed? So what it tells you is money, possessing money doesn't equal happiness. Of course, if you have pain, because you need to pay for your children's education, or you're feeling the financial problems and pressure. If you feel all those financial problems and pressures, I can understand you say, if I have money, I will be fine. I can understand that, okay? But you must bear in mind, money in itself is not happiness. Then what do we do in our daily life? In our daily life, we end up being fixated about doing certain things which actually don't make us happy. Like being very stressed at work, working yourself to poor health because you are so concerned about making money. And then all this time you're postponing happiness. You're saying, it's okay. Once I have enough, I'll be happy. If my bank account reaches this, I'll be happy. You tell yourself things like that. Then what happens? Time can run out. Or you can spend your entire life unhappy. By the time you're ready to practice, you may be very tired. Or you may be sick. Or you may already find yourself run out of time. Something like that. So what's the solution? Balance. You want a balanced life. No matter where you are, however you are working and being very busy and so on, put some time aside. At least once a week, you must give yourself time aside once a week for spiritual boosting. Spiritual boosting. Why? Because you will find that and when you go for spiritual boosting, for heaven's sake, don't halfway body at the monastery or the center, mind at work. That is not spiritual boosting, okay? Spiritual boosting is entirely devote one morning, for instance. So every Sunday morning, I will put aside all thoughts about my mundane world and focus on Dhamma. So at least once a week, one morning, your mind sits on what is good and pure. You are not postponing it to a time when you can devote your time to Dhamma. Really? When you have all the time in the world, you're going to devote your time to travel. Pleasure. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that in your life there is balance. Some time devoted to wholesomeness and goodness. If you say, I'm not the type to study, then serve. Go and engage yourself in an environment where you help others. Helping others with all sincerity is also spiritual. It's a spiritual cultivation. You are cultivating chaga, generosity. Once a week minimum, one period, to be devoted to cultivating wholesomeness, whether it's meditation, reading the Dhamma, spending time serving another, helping people, do things like that. It's just once a week. It doesn't take up a lot of time. And you do that, you will find that your mind will actually feel better. Okay? So this is the part. Most of us has this problem. To be. This is where the problem is. Number 4. When the Dhamma and discipline proclaimed by the Tathagata has been taught, a person who can understand it and practice in accordance with the Dhamma is rare in the world. So, you know my point. Maybe you can conceptually understand Dhamma. Conceptual. So if you sit there and I say, what are 5 aggregates you can rattle off in English and in Pali and in Mandarin? You can rattle off the 5 aggregates. You can cite, you can quote suttas. But if you had never operationalized your knowledge, your concepts, then you haven't embraced the practice. If you had not struggled with overcoming unwholesomeness, instead, when you feel angry, you lash out. When you feel greedy, you eat. When you feel tired, you sleep. Doesn't matter if it's my Dhamma time. It's okay, I sleep first. Talk later. If you give in to all your impulses and compulsions, if you give in to impulses and compulsions, you have made no effort to practice. That is why you are not experiencing the joy of the Dhamma. If you have implemented, operationalized the teaching, systematically, Eightfold Path, you know by heart, spend your time reflecting on the Eightfold Path, line by line, reflecting, you will find that the agitation that you used to feel, the degree, the intensity reduces, diminishes. Meaning you used to be this angry, now you are this angry. You used to be angry about A, B, C, alphabet 26, one another round. Make it 50, 6, 12, 52. 52 items you are upset. But as you train and you learn and you overcome compulsion with understanding, you will find that the number of issues that bother you, that number reduces. It used to be, 52. Now it's only 26. And as your practice improves and your determination keeps you going right track, the number may shrink further. Today you are only upset when you're not wholesome enough. Well done. 丢了. This is correct. Something like that, okay? So what does it take for one to wholeheartedly embrace the path? It will require you to turn your back on a lifetime of habits, instincts, assumptions, conclusions. Why? Because we are all unwholesome by instinct, it has to do, you're not a bad person. We are not bad people. But our system, our genetics, have programmed us to be defensive, to protect yourself first, to keep you alive, to keep you and your family alive. So this is called evolutionary science. Check the title of the book, that book that I told people to read. Just read out the title to me. So there is a book that I recently came across, and it talks about Dhamma from the perspective of a scientist. It's a very good book. It's a Western scientist, and he was talking about evolutionary science and Dhamma. I love the book. I borrowed it from the library. I thought it was wonderful. So they are checking the title, and I will give it to you when I have it. Okay, so we have instincts, we have habits. We live our life. You may not realize it, but you live your life carrying assumptions and beliefs, right? Beliefs, your belief system, your value system. All these form the base of your sanya, your perception. Assumptions, your takeaway, your conclusions, all these form the base of your sanya, okay? Your perception. You have to have that wisdom to look at it and say, not correct. There's something off about these assumptions, these beliefs. If any beliefs make you sadder and sadder, make you get more agitated easily, those value system has a problem. It means that you are angry. If you are so easily roused and upset, then your assumptions, your values, they're not helpful. They're making you so angry. What's the point? Change them. Okay? Dhamma runs against worldly instincts, I said. Rare are those who can resist and turn away from the Mara's lures. Those are your desires, no? Mara's baits are your desires. You have all this wanting and desires, and they get you all caught up and so on. It's very hard for you to fight those instincts. And how then will you practice? If you choose to practice, if you choose to embrace the Dhamma and say, okay, now I'm going to operationalize the teaching, you have to be consistent. You cannot one day do this, 3 days not do it. You cannot do that. You have to be consistent. You have to keep going. Even when it feels like it's very hard. Controlling my anger is very hard. Okay, then you are missing some point. You have to learn to understand how to let go of anger better. Learn it well, implement it properly, be consistent at it. Okay? Why Buddhism is True by Robert Wright. Robert, R-O-B-E-R-T, Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T. W-R-I-G-H-T. The title, Why Buddhism is True. Seen from the perspective of a evolutionary scientist. Okay, the last point. A grateful and thankful person is rare in the world. You see, some of you will sit there and say, no, I have gratitude. I'm very thankful. And I'm not rare. In fact, I know many people who have gratitude, and they are very thankful also. And because there's so many of us, we're not rare. No. Here, it's very, very specific. You see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is the fifth point. They're all linked. The Tathagata, the teacher, the one who understands and practices. So this fifth one must be linked to that 4. What is so rare? You see, if you had practice and you understand, then what it means is your akusala, your unwholesome mental states, must start to reduce. One, the regular individual, he has gratitude. It's not that he doesn't. But he is not a person who is defined, basic characteristic, grateful. You have gratitude doesn't make you a grateful person. You have moment of kindness doesn't make you a good person. Do you understand the difference? You can be seasonal good, but baseline, not nice. Baseline, not nice. You can therefore be periodically grateful, but baseline, you are an ingrate. Baseline. Why is that like that? Because for a person to really have gratitude as a defining feature, this person is fundamentally content. The second point. Only one who is very content is baseline grateful. Why is it? Let me ask you. Every time you feel very entitled, it should be like that. Why is the person not doing like that? Should be this way, should be that way. When your mind talks like that, it means you have expectations. You have desires. You're not content. You will only be grateful when something was done for you and it was unexpected. Then you feel, wow, what a lucky person I am. Thank you so much. So you feel, when you have no expectations, you will be content. When you have expectations, you will have entitlement. You will not have gratitude. So that's why for most of us, it's very conditionally a reason. Contentment is conditionally a reason. Gratitude is therefore conditionally a reason and sporadic. He's saying this individual baseline gratitude means this individual baseline contented, no expectation, minimal akusala, therefore he is that rare. Okay? He is that rare. Okay, closing reflection. Almost there, almost there. The last slide. This is where I invite everyone, including the crew here. If you just reflect what we have gone through, just reflect. And if you wish to, you can share your reflections with everyone. This is actually a sutta for, it would have been ideal if it's delivered to a live audience, because this is a sutta where individuals sitting in an audience of fellow seekers, fellow practitioners, then rejoicing with each other how far they have come in the Dhamma. And since we don't have a live audience, then we will have Facebook audience. If you are happy to share, just write in and share. And the committee here, the technical committee here, will find a few good reflections and read them out for everyone, okay? So got a prize, got a prize. My personal reflection is this. For me, personally, after I've gone through this, actually I should have waited for a while before I release this. Okay, so if you all write like this, doesn't count, okay? Must write differently, For me personally, not to take for granted the blessings of this life. Not to take for granted the blessings of this life, that we We want to use all the conditions wisely. And what do I mean by this? In this life, I have a brain that works properly, not too deluded, conventional delusion only. So national level delusion only. I have an education. You know, having an education is such a rare blessing. We live in a country where as long as we want to study, we have the opportunity. We are very lucky, very blessed. Because with education means you can read. Being able to read means you have access to information, knowledge that people share. Having access to that knowledge, which we all take for granted, but having access to that knowledge means we can learn and grow. So this is just the mundane blessings. Opportunity to learn, we have security, we have safety. So our mind is not caught up with fears, being distracted with, or being too distracted by fears. We don't have that problem here. And we have time to learn. We have weekends off. So weekends we can go learn Dhamma, practice, meditate, sit and reflect. We have weekends off. We have annual leave. Annual leave means there are times where you are paid to rest. And those times we can learn, we can grow. So we actually are very lucky. Imagine a life, okay? Imagine a life where you are uneducated, where you need to carry water just so that you can do basic things, cooking, washing, and so on. You have, you live in an environment with a lot of people, so there is no time. You're constantly navigating people. You have no time to look inwards. You're constantly trapped outwards. No access to the Dhamma, no books, no internet, no access. Only the neighborhood monastery or center, which COVID time cannot go. Can you see how life will be so different for us? So we have blessings, whatever that you have, whatever blessings that you have, use them wisely to grow, to cultivate and rewire the mind and anchor the mind in the Dhamma. So this thing about anchor firmly in the Dhamma, stay on track, stay on the path, this is very important because we will die. This life will finish. When it's done, when you're done with this life, all the neurons and all the atoms and everything gets scrambled. It's all scrambled. Then you will start again. Do you start from base zero because you didn't anchor? Or do you start a little bit ahead of the class because you anchored well? Or did you practice so well that you start ahead in the express class, top class, right in the front of the queue, because you've already seen so much, understood so well. And so you come again in another life with the mind already sitting in the Dhamma. So you come again happy, light-hearted, able to meditate, sit, samadhi. A lot of happiness here. And the last bit, for me, I think this is important. Because when you help others, you're also helping yourself. Every time for myself personally, every time I prepare for a class, I have to read the material, reflect on the material, have the material sink into the mind, have the deeper understanding, and then we share. And it's like that. For many of us, in order to learn the Dhamma, we have to keep reading up, revisiting, remembering, reflecting. And why are these things so important? Why are these activities so important? Because when you reflect and you reconnect, you may see a new angle. If you grow in the Dhamma and you understand deeper, every time you look at the same sutta, a new angle will come up for you. So, we want to keep progressing in the Dhamma, okay? So that's all I have today. Can we have the questions then?
Thank you, Sis Sylvia, for a fantastic talk. Can we say sadhu 3 times? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Any comments or questions from the...
No questions online?
We have one. We have one from Sister Inga in Indonesia. She asks, how about beings at other realms, higher than humans? Do they have fetters? As long as they are not Aryas, they will have fetters wherever they are. Am I right? Thank you.
It doesn't matter where you are, higher realms, they definitely have all the 10 fetters. Not just one, 10 fetters. And like us in training, even devas, if they are, say for instance, you all passed on. We all passed on. And well done. Practice is good. We end up higher, Deva realm. Don't be so shy. It will happen. So let's say we all end up Deva realm, congregate again. But if we are not realized, not Aryas, must start again. Must still practice. Must still come down and serve the Aryas and help the Aryas and learn from them, sit down in Dhamma class and listen. But then our timing a bit different. So we must be mindful of the time zone. Different timing, upstairs and downstairs. So you must remember the time zone. Don't you play. It's you miss the time, then you come down, all gone already. All your classes are gone. Okay.
I think that's all we have for questions actually.
Okay.
But there's one comment from this listener who says, now I'm trying to catch up and am blessed with good teachers and Dharma. He or she says that he has regrets for not taking refuge in the Triple Gem earlier. I wonder, it's just a comment, I wonder if you've got any response for him or her?
Oh, don't regret. Never regret. In fact, you should rejoice in the fact that you have come onto the path, into the presence of the Triple Gem. I am so happy for you. We regret only because we have attachment. When we have regret, it means we have attachment. It means there's a part in us that says, I should have done this so much earlier. My gosh, this is so beautiful. This is attachment. It's okay. Cause and condition, and then it happens. You see, you also have individuals who are born into Buddhist families, Dhamma, where the parents may be in the Dhamma, but the children or even family members are not, because they don't feel the affinity. And it's just like that. For you, you already feel the affinity. You already feel that this is a wonderful teaching you can learn and grow from. This is wonderful news. Okay?
Thank
That's
you,
it?
Thank you, Sister Sylvia. I think that's it. Do we have any comments from the floor?
Okay, yes.
Oh, yes, Eugene. Okay.
Hello, Sister Sylvia. Can you hear me? Okay, Sister Sylvia. So actually, I don't intend to say the comments myself and pass to Sister Kim, but never mind. That's cool. So you're asking for thoughts, right? I was just thinking, right? So I just read out what I just typed out.
Okay.
Okay, I think in this modern environment of too many options, distractions, desires, and hindrance, it's more difficult for many of us to stay interested in the Dharma or to stay passionate in the Dharma for long or to sustain it. But I realized that we don't have to be so hard on ourselves because it's hard enough to stay on a path. So what we can do is that we can just create more right conditions to do our practice according to how we feel. Like I say work-life balance, right? I think it's Dharma life balance as well.
Well said. Yes.
Okay, that's all.
I'm so proud of you, Eugene. You have grown so much. Any more? Shall we?
Brother Eugene, you got any more to add?
It took a lot out of him, you know. It took a lot.
Actually, Sister Sylvia, this one is interesting. It says, Sister Sylvia, can you share with us your daily Dhamma life? Thank you very much.
My daily life. Dhamma is just incorporated. I meditate every morning for an hour. I wish I have more time, but I am working, so I can only do 1 hour and then I have to chase the bus. Not that I chase the bus. But you see, it's not just the meditation. It's also throughout the day, I try, I'm very mindful of if there were no joy or no wholesomeness, I'm very aware of it. I am constantly reflecting on the Buddha's teaching. If I'm not at work and caught up, so when there is a free time, I will remember the Dhamma. I will remember the Buddha's teaching, and I will reflect on the things that I've said before, wholesomeness, the qualities of a practitioner, and what are the mental states that I have to be mindful of. I am aware of them. If they're not there, I'm aware of them. If there is an arising akusala, I'm aware of it. And then I will find myself doing the tango. Don't go in there, let it go, set it aside, that kind of things. I will do that. It's actually a very normal, regular, typical life, isn't it? Right, for everyone. The only thing that maybe I don't do is I don't go very much into external stimulation. I don't have a need for that. I don't have to hide from the mind. I am not distressed by the mind. I'm quite happy just breathing, watching it. It's a comfortable life. Yeah, I do spend time with family. For me, is being with my family and helping them along. Because, let me just share an observation. Sometimes we are so caught up doing things outside, Dhamma work outside, that we forget the ones at home. And we are in the best position to share. But share in such a way that they enjoy it. So part of the reason why I have a lot of stories, right, is because I have to tell stories to my mom, to my niece, to my family. I tell them stories, they enjoy it, they listen, and they learn. So I do that. Looks like I bring teaching home. Yeah, that happens too. Yeah?
Thank you. Another question is it okay to chant before we sleep?
Oh, yes. Chanting must chant. The only advice I will give is this. Whatever that you choose to chant, whatever that you choose to chant, you must make sure that you know the words in a language you appreciate. It is not chanting in Pali. You can chant in Pali, but you must know the meaning of the words so that they can touch you in your daily life. You're going to chant. You might as well make sure that whatever that you're chanting touches you. So even for instance, the refuges. It's very simple. 3 words are changed for the first, second, and third time. 3 words are changed. And then that's it. Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. One can get bored, but if you recite that, you don't have to do that every day, but if you want to, you must recite that slowly and with feelings. For the first time, I go to the Buddha for refuge. For the first time, I go to the Dhamma for refuge. For the first time, I go to the Sangha for refuge. Pause and feel the words. Then that moment makes an impact, leaves an impression, leaves an imprint in your mind. And you want to do that. Do that. In fact, I would say don't do it every night if you don't feel like it, but do it with feelings. And at least once a week, at least, so that you really feel the affinity, the connection to the Triple Gem. Something like that. Okay?
Thank you, Sister Sylvia. I usually outsource my chanting to the handphone, but now I will try to feel it. There's one more question.
Your handphone is very blessed.
Good to know. Thank you. Hi, Sister Sylvia. Could you elaborate a little more about what is Taste the Dharma, please? Thank you.
Oh, okay. Let me ask you, all of you here, when you taste something, what do you experience? Say taste food. When you taste food, what do you experience? Anyone? What does taste mean? It's a very good question, and I'm glad someone finally asked that question. When you taste something, right, and I meant it literally, I mean it literally. When you put ice into your tongue, or you put candy onto your tongue, something with flavor, when you enjoy it, how do you feel? Describe. Cold, yes. Elated. Let's say something you like, char kway teow. Pleasure, yes. What else? Delight, exactly. What else? So pleasure and delight means what? You feel good. It's a positive feeling, right? You feel good. And will it grow? A joy, does it grow? It can grow, right? Think about it, it grows. It feels better, it feels better, it feels better. You feel positive, you feel good, you feel joy. Taste Dhamma is the same. You feel good, you feel positive, you feel joy, you feel inspired, you feel confident. So the word taste, in a literal sense, it's literal. There is an experience where you have a emotional reaction. Very often it's very emotional. For those who experience the Dhamma and taste the Dhamma, sometimes they feel so joyous they cry. I don't know why, but they cry. Tears rolling down the cheek, happy tears. So that happens. Then of course you can have very subtle taste. I mean, some food is not so exciting, so you taste it, yes, it's nice, and okay, but I won't come back to our restaurant, you know. So you can also have tastes which are not so exuberating, but it's nice, it's pleasant. Okay?
Thank you very much. Are there any more comments? But I guess also taste in the Dhamma could mean that you have to experience the Dhamma experientially.
Yeah, it is experiential. Okay, shall we?
Yes, thank you.
Now we will do two things. I'm going to do in gratitude first, as we always do. This slide, the slide. No, the slide. Yeah, yes, okay. This slide is a reminder to everyone that after you have listened to a Dhamma talk, or it's not just listening to a Dhamma talk, but also after you have read the sutta, say, for instance, you're reading a sutta at home, every time you experience joy, when there is a connection with the Dhamma, you want to feel that gratitude. And if you feel deep enough, you want to give back to the Buddha and the Dhamma. I have written here words to encourage you to do something. I said, honor the teacher by putting into practice his teaching. Be chaga. Chaga means being generous. Donate, help, give support, physical support. Come down and serve. Give support of time, energy to a worthy charity or spiritual organization. Be joyous in giving. We must never take for granted the blessings that we have enjoyed in this life. As our forerunners had done it right by us, we must continue the good work for those who come after. The last part is an aspiration, a wish for the Dhamma. May the Dhamma last long. May we continue to enjoy supportive conditions for learning and practice. And may we never deviate from the true teaching as long as life lasts. Today, I will also be inviting everyone to share merits with a Dhamma friend who had moved on. Can I invite everyone to share merits? You have all experienced joy today listening to the Dhamma. We are very grateful to the Buddha for the Dhamma. As you experience joy, as you feel gratitude, this is the moment for us to share our merits with past relatives. And today specifically, I request that you share with U Min Tain. He passed away a few days ago. Wherever he is, may he be well and happy. May he come back to the Dhamma. May he rejoice in the merits that we are all sharing with him. This is another, it's missing. Sharing also merits with Ibu Yu Yun, passed away just yesterday. She is the grandmother of one of our Dhamma brothers, Louise. May she be well and happy wherever she is. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So now we're going to chant.
Shall we all do the dedication? Oh, so sorry. Can we say a big thank you to Sister Sylvia, please? Can we say 3 sadhu for the fantastic talk and the question and answer session? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And now let's do the dedication of merits. Let us invite all sentient beings to participate in our acquired merits. Etavata cha amhehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Etavata cha amhehi sampadam punya sampadam
Sabbe Buddha anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Etavata ca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Idame nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idame nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idame nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Sadhu, sadhu.